I've been chewing on how to proceed because there's a lot to say about magic and mental health, but also I want to start presenting techniques. So I'm going to ramble for a little bit about magic and then I'm going to present a technique. I'll cut that part out where I'm talking about the technique and upload it as its own separate video so you don't have to listen to me yak to get to the practice. At heart, I am a chaos magician. Any technique is a good technique. Any technique is a valid technique. Now, I'm not talking about cultural, the talk with appropriation. I'm talking about does the magic work? The debate over whether this or that magic path is valid or authentic is largely irrelevant as far as does the magic work. All magic works because all magic is a work of the imagination. It is all imaginal. There is no difference between the imagination and magic. You can think of a magic as just imagining with intent, with oomph. Now, you're always doing magic because you're always imagining. But when you do it with intent and power, it is more forceful. It creates more of an effect upon the world. So if you intentionally marshal your thoughts to do what I call slow magic, like saying an intention over and over again, or you marshal your powers with a focal point, like casting a spell. These are both different ways of doing magic, of focusing your imagination with intent. Your mind has little control over yourself, over itself. The real you, the spirit that is you, has the ability to use the mind with intention to generate thoughts. I remember years ago when I was going to an introductory Buddhist class, and the teacher said, think of your mind as a dog on a leash that is misbehaving, and you are training the dog over time to behave itself and walk with you along with on a leash. And I asked, who's holding the leash? And the teacher couldn't answer me. But the answer is you. You are not your mind. So you are you. You can pick up your mind and you can use it like a tool, but when you're not intentionally focused in your mind, it's just bouncing around trying to figure out whatever inputs it's receiving. The brain itself is deaf and dumb. Just like an AI, it's sitting in a little tiny head, a little tiny box. It's in your head all by itself. With the weak and very limited senses that we have, it receives a tiny fraction of information about the environment, and it imagines that it understands what the fuck is going on. Even with no input, the brain still imagines because that's what it does, that's its job. But you are not the brain. You are a spirit inhabiting this body, and while you inhabit it, you are limited to its inputs unless you intentionally engage with the spiritual world, and that is doing magic. That communication is always happening, whether you know it or not. It's like the electricity running through your walls. You are spiritually connected to everything around you, you're just not aware of it. You don't think about the electricity all the time until you hit the switch and what you expect to happen doesn't happen and the electricity doesn't work. That's really when you think about electricity. But it's always there in your house, always on. When you close the circuit, that's when you see something. Becoming aware of it is part of becoming enlightened, of seeing. Now I'm talking about magic, not electricity, whether you see anything with your physical senses or not. If you practice, you can generally increase your mind's fitness level to increase its focus or to decrease the random thoughts. But you will never have full control over your mind or your body. They are tools, they are not you. They are not the ones doing the magic. You are using these tools to do the magic. You, the core of your being, is doing the magic by focusing your intent to communicate and interact with other forces. Magic energy, or spirits, can be stored inside of things like a wand, a book, even inside of words like a spell. But it is a person or people that put that magic in those things in the first place. We are the magic. You are the magician. It is flowing through your body or through yourself, and you are attempting to direct its path. Imagination and consciousness really can't exist without each other. Your consciousness is constantly observing, and your brain is imagining the way the world is, and the way it was, and the way it the way it is, was, and will be. Your consciousness is reading the dreams of your mind, basically, and that's the only input that it really has. You already live in a stream of time within yourself, and it consists of us all holding that shared belief in our minds that creates and is created by this reality. Yin and yang balance. As above, so below. As within, so without. The collective consciousness. We are creating our reality in each instant. Many indigenous beliefs, well, not many, there's one that I can't think of what it is off the top of my head, believes that the world is being created every instant by God. And that's basically what physics tells us. If we believe, like in the Matrix, belief that the belief that we are living in the Matrix, and that we're living in a hologram, and reality is flickering on and off all the time. It actually is, because that's what happens with what is happening on a subatomic level. So we are creating reality each instant, and reality, the universe, God, is in turn creating us each instant. Our beliefs are given to us by the universe that created us, and the universe, and in turn, the belief that we all hold together is the glue that's holding all this shit. Therefore, to do magic that you can fly, for instance, like some crazy Star Wars storybook stuff, you have to focus your imagination so much that you can overcome the belief of yourself and everything around you. It's not just your belief that you can fly. Everything around you has beliefs, is imagining the way the world is and the way the world should be. How much do you think people want to win the lottery? That's why lottery magic doesn't work, and all magicians aren't wealthy. If you do love magic, you have to overcome the will of yourself to leave that person the fuck alone, the will of that person to not want to be with you, and the will of the person that they're already with, and all their friends and family members that don't want them to be with you. So love magic doesn't often work. You have to put an incredible amount of juice into stuff like getting rich off of magic, and you could probably only do that if you're already rich. You can do magic easily that influences only yourself. When you start trying to influence other people and things around you, magic immediately gets a lot more complicated. So magic is usually presented as concentrating, as thinking, of really focusing. If I focus really hard, like, the meme of the kid buckled down there looking like he's about to shit himself, that's what magic is. But it's not really. Magic is really imagining really fully, until the imagination that creates reality. Until your imagination creates reality, because that's what imagination does. Your consciousness is just the observer part of you that imagines that it knows what is going on around it. So when, like, most people say, what is magic? You normally hear the Krellian version of magic as the magician exerting their will upon the universe, and I'm saying something completely different. So I see that as a very, like, wealthy white man definition of magic. It's very capitalistic. It's very patriarchal. Magic is me getting what I want, winning at capitalism. The magician is the center of their universe, but every magician is the center of the universe, and ultimately we are all magicians. So calm the fuck down. Magic is usually meant in the way of getting things. So I see magic in a completely different way. I see magic as imagining a different future. Whether you are imagining that you are whole, imagining that you're healing, imagining that you want a new car, you are imagining. You are thinking of what you want in the future that is different than the way it is now. We can divide we divide magic into categories of things that they're not really categories, because the divisions only exist because they're things that we want based on material reality. So the way magic is often divided is, if you want to get stuff, you do this magic. If you want to achieve enlightenment, you do these spiritual practices, which are still magic, but we just call them spiritual practices. If you want to heal, you do this other stuff. But in reality, magic is all imaginal. So you can very often use a technique to do anything that you want to. So if I am talking to this video both people who don't know anything about magic and to people who are magically conversant. So hopefully I'm presenting information useful to both of you. But if you are magically conversant and you already know a technique, a spell or something, then try it. As they say in medicine, is outside the now I'm not going to be able to think of what I'm trying to say. When they use a medicine for other than what it's intended for, which they do a lot, then the doctor will say, yes, this is a medicine for sleep, but it's also for anxiety. That's the medicine I'm on. So you have a spell, use it, try it for different things, try it for different outcomes and intentions. In every operation, you are imagining a different way, a different future, a different mode of existence. Therefore, all magic is basically in some way time magic. All magic is imagination. All magic is wishing. All magic is symbolic, because the universe speaks in symbols. The universe speaks in feelings, because it's really not. We're not thinking, we're feeling, we're imagining, we're exchanging the emotions of what we want. So magic works better if you get emotionally involved in it, to convey that information symbolically to the universe. Whether you're daydreaming, whether you're wishing, you wish upon a star, whether you're being superstitious, whether you're worrying, if you're casting a spell or stating intention. And all of those activities, you are imagining a different future. So all of those things are magic. And yes, worrying is magic. That's why you should really try not to worry. And that's what we're going to talk about today, is changing those negative thought patterns of the worrying, the self-doubt, the self-loathing, stuff like that. The spinning, when the spinning is becoming harmful. The spinning mind, is just spinning negative thoughts. However, magic doesn't just include getting stuff. That's the definition of magic that's most often given is the magic magician exerting their will upon the universe. That is usually given as meaning in the pursuit of capitalism, to get things and have stuff. Fuck bitches, make money, And magic is about more than capitalism. Psychics, mystics, seers, they are getting information. But the division between those two things is actually an illusion. Information is a thing. Information is this wild thing that doesn't have any mass and that transfers immediately, faster than the speed of light, instantaneously, but it is still a thing, and we are using magic to get it. So too often magic that is just used to communicate is not really credited as being magic. A lot, some magicians will not say that, like a fortune teller or a seer or a prophet is doing magic. Maybe that person themselves say they're not doing magic, but it's in shamanism. It's one of the very frequently ways that shamanism was used. In America, shamanism is often seen as just being healing. I'm rereading Michael Harner's book, the first book I ever read on shamanism, which gets a lot of criticism today, but still has every book on magic has solid, or hopefully solid, information that you can use, and it is still a very important seminal book on shamanism. And even though when Michael Harner presented shamanism to America, he basically said, this is for healing, but even in his book, he said indigenous shamans used it for all kinds of stuff. And communicating is a very important thing. the myths tell us of gods bringing knowledge to man, whether that was fire, language, just the art of learning, farming, plant medicine, healing, metallurgy, the iPhone. Remember that the story that he tripped balls and invented the iPhone? That is getting knowledge from the spiritual plane. These are the stories upon stories of God's giving us knowledge. These are both representations of magic and magic themselves, because all of those paths are paths to knowing. In the Bible, they brought Dick. The sons of God came in unto the daughters of women, of the daughters of man, like came in unto, literally, because sex is also a way of knowing. There's sacred sex, tantric sex is a way to magic. It is a magical practice, and it is a way to enlightenment. They're really all of these things are all one and the same. You can use passive enlightenment as magic. You can use magic as a path of enlightenment. That's basically what we're doing here. We're not trying to become enlightened yet, but we're at least trying to fucking get some kind of calm in the storm that is our minds. All of these things are communing, are knowing, seeing, sensing, interacting with the spirit world. When they say that the gods came down to earth and gave men knowledge, this is through the shamanistic practice of just interacting with, of doing nothing more, nothing less, just interacting with, not necessarily coming away with anything more than knowledge. However, let's go back to magic as getting things. To get something, you have to exchange information. And so, that's what magic is. You are placing your order form with the universe. You're slipping it into the nowhere spaces where the no thing that is information becomes a thing. So magic it's both. It's if we say magic is getting things, we get things by exchanging the information of what we want to get with when we're casting a spell. If we say magic is knowledge, getting knowledge, getting knowledge is getting something. We say magic is healing is getting something. So really, what does it boil down to? It boils down to communication, to contact with what? Contact with the spirit world. I consider magic to be communicating with the spirits. Working the spirit model of magic has several advantages. The spirits themselves protect you and teach you. You're not going to get haunted at the graveyard if you leave your 3 dimes, and you're going to understand why you need the 3 dimes if you understand the spirits are real. But if you do not believe in the spirit model, you can still do magic and you can still do everything that I teach. A lot of magicians don't agree that spirits are a real thing. Other magicians say that magic is only interacting with spirits and nothing else. You can look at magic from any model and they all work. The different theories of magic are typically presented as being the spirit model, that we are interacting with spirits, the energy model, we're manipulating energy, psychology model, we're using the powers of our mind, and the informational model, which basically looks at magic as like a information science way of understanding information. Like I said, that information is instantaneous and has some rather fascinating implications on the nature of the universe. But there's another model that I personally see that I don't see often presented a lot, is the mechanistic model, which you see a lot in Vodou, or I've talked to several people that practice traditional British magic that just believe that just by doing the thing, there's no, you just open the book and read like Mickey Mouse reading the pages of the Sorcerer's book, and all of a sudden the water goes out of control. That's all it takes, is you just open the book, do the things, read the words, and the magic happens. There's also the meta model, which says to use whichever model you find useful at that time, and that's supposed to be the chaos magic model. But really, I find it to be, the model is all of those models. They're all true, they all work Whatever mode you use to do magic, it works. Whatever method you use, whatever path you use, it works because magic works. So what why then do I insist on the spirit model? Why do I believe in the spirit model? It's, well, I didn't until the spirits made it clear to me that they are real. I was an agnostic magician for a very long time. And if you don't believe in spirits, I'm not, you're going to have to literally experience. I'm not trying to convince you. I'm trying to explain my model of magic and why I think it can help with mental health. But if you're going to change your belief to that you do believe in spirits, you have to do that by experience. But by spirits, I mean, like, here's just another way of thinking about it. We all know that the consciousness pervades the universe. So that's just a scientific way of saying that a spiritual thing, that everything is alive. Therefore, everything is spirit. You are alive. You are a spirit. You are not a body that has a spirit. You are a spirit that has a body. Everything that has a body has a spirit. But not all spirits have bodies. The vast majority of spirits do not have bodies. So we interact with these spirits or energies, you can think of it either way, through using our imagination to change the information that we believe to be true until our beliefs become reality. That is true no matter what model of magic you use. They all work. You can do whatever you want. You're doing magic because you're always doing magic. We're always imagining the existence of the world around us. That's what the brain is doing when you're not actively using it. The spirit model is what I have found the model that works the best, but you also need all the other ingredients you need the consciousness, you need information, you need energy. And you don't have to believe in, but you don't even have to believe in any of that in order to do magic. You could be a theist or a pagan. You can believe about whatever you believe about the reality of the spiritual world does not inhibit magic from working. So even the mechanistic model is true. You can think that I mentioned a few minutes ago about the electricity running through your walls. You can believe that is created by little gremlins running through your walls carrying buckets and dumping it into your light bulb. That might sound silly, but then you might also mock things that other cultures believe about magic. You might think that gremlins and fairies are not true. You might think that's silly, but their model of magic works just like yours does. So maybe it doesn't matter what you believe. Maybe it really is gremlins. Either way, it works. Magic is usually not immediate. It can be, but not usually. So again, when I say magic isn't magic, it's not Disney magic. Don't think of it as being a Jedi, or like get all thoughts of Harry Potter. Wow, Disney owns all of that stuff now, everything I just mentioned. So it is, when I say Disney magic, I'm literally mean every Disney show that movie, every cartoon, the Star Wars. Get it all out of your head. Magic isn't like razzle dazzle, boom. Magic usually takes its own time. And that's true of whatever magic you're doing. Even when you're getting stuff, it's not like you do a spell and then the Amazon is at your door that second. The universe takes time. In our experience, the way we experience the universe, it takes time to bring your magic into fruition. So you don't just say, I think I am whole, and you are whole. It's not that easy. It's not that simple. Magic definitely isn't easy. It works, but it takes an effort. It's just cool. It's cool doing magic, right? Even though it takes effort, it's fun. We're not turning pumpkins into carriages. Magic is the power over your universe and your life within the constraints of this reality. Magic is not supernatural. magic follows all natural laws. Natural laws do not, like, magic is natural, but just because science doesn't accept magic does not mean magic does not abide by the laws of the universe. That's why a scientist's understanding of the universe is flawed. They're looking for this theory, the God theory, that will explain everything, and they're never going to find it until they accept that spirits and magic are real. The magician can learn many things from the scientist, but the scientist cannot learn anything from the magician because they refuse to. So I'm not talking about instantaneous changes. I hate that about the New Age movement and about most New Thought teachings. Some people have learned like one spiritual truth, and they build a capitalistic empire around a shallow understanding of a few things about magic or spirituality. One of those is New Thought and its many variations, such as Mind Science and The Secret, that teach that your thoughts, create your reality. So change your thoughts right now, and reality changes right now. And, oh, it didn't change? Well, you didn't think good enough. Or something bad happened to you, it's your fault. So we got things that are trying to act like they are spirituality, but they are still carrying a lot of that Christian guilt. Because if your life doesn't instantaneously change to where you win at capitalism, then you suck at thinking. That's not how magic works. Yes, your thoughts are creating reality, but it's not like, oh my God, every single thought in your head is creating. That's obviously not true, because we all have some weird stuff that happens up there, right? So it's not like every thought is going to pop into reality. We're talking about the thought patterns, your core beliefs, not just the random bouncing around of your head. You cannot and should not try to control every thought that comes into your head, because while we generate thoughts, we also receive thoughts, and we emit thoughts. So think thoughts are energy, basically. But also information that they transfer immediately, instantaneously across time and space. So there's a lot of weird shit going on that we don't completely understand yet, but that is the space in where magic is happening. I'm not offering a miracle cure that is trying to fix your life instantaneously. I still struggle with depression. One does not begin life as utterly fucked up as I was and achieve enlightenment overnight. Any magic that you use to change yourself will have moments of rapid growth, but overall the healing journey is slow, because we're all knuckleheads. In magic, just like in all spiritual paths, you know better before you do better. I don't expect you to believe everything I'm saying. You don't have to believe anything I'm saying. I'm inviting you to try. An understanding of magic comes from doing. That gives you new input into your mind for it to change its beliefs about reality. So start light and easy. Put a small amount of effort in and see what happens. Then continue on your journey into magic and healing from there. There's a lot of stuff that I tried that didn't work for me. If you don't like my techniques or they don't work for you, look around for what does. Think of magic like Jeet Kune Do. Pick up what works for you, develop it very well, practice it until you don't have to practice it. That's how you do magic. That's how you get good at anything. That's what conditioning is just merely repetition, and magic is no different. Okay, so now we're going to get into practice. The first thing that we're going to do is we're going to start working on changing the story that you tell yourself. It will take repetition to train your subconscious to believe different things about yourself. This is very simple, but it takes time. Most of us with trauma have a voice that beats us up constantly, that tells us all day, every day, that we're a piece of shit. So that's one of the main obstacles in healing is every time you start to do anything, I'm going to take an action to start healing myself. That part of you that is talking shit to you constantly grabs you and stops you. It pulls you back. And so that's what we're going to tackle first. We're going to start talking to that part of yourself. We're going to start the process of changing that voice. All magic is transformation. So this is not an original thing. This is a common magical technique, and it's one of the many techniques that you will find in books on magic, books on mysticism, spirituality, and books on psychology. It's the first magic that I did specifically to improve my mental health. And I still do it. It is very simple and it's very powerful. You're simply going to tell yourself what you need to hear to change your self-image. The first time I did this, it was, I am sexy. I said that over and over and over again. I usually did this when I was commuting to work. Unfortunately, I still commute to work, and this is like 20 years ago. It's just driving to work. You're not doing anything. Turn off the radio for a few minutes, or the podcast, or the music. So I aged myself by saying radio, and just do a few minutes of this. You don't have to do it the entire drive to work. I did, but do it for a couple minutes. Do it for 1 minute. 1 minute a day, that's my challenge to you. You can say it out loud or in your mind. It doesn't really matter. It may seem to say something silly. It may seem silly to say something like, I am sexy, but at the time, my self-esteem was non-existent. Being sexy makes you feel good about yourself. It makes you feel confident and comfortable dealing with people. You don't judge yourself. You tell yourself what you need to hear, even if it may seem silly or weird or immoral to somebody else. Like, I am sexy might piss off your auntie, but tell yourself what you need to hear to start feeling better about yourself. It doesn't, you need to be honest, utterly honest with yourself in this and what you need to hear. And and you will know better than anybody else. The subconscious is smart, but in a completely different way. People say that the subconscious is dumb, but how can it possibly be when there's thousands of functions going on every second so that you can focus your conscious mind on other things? We say it's dumb because we can't control it, but that's, again, a pretty capitalist way of looking at things. It's like ROM, read-only memory. When you turn your computer off, the ROM is still there, and the battery, and I'm not in the battery. The ROM is still there in the chip. It's the most basic fundamental programming that tells your computer that it is a computer when you turn it on. Without this basic software, your computer couldn't function. It's so important that the manufacturer decided that you are not to be trusted to fuck with it. So it is very difficult, sometimes impossible, to access the ROM or to change it on your computer. Just so your subconscious never turns off. When you wake up and you run human.exe, that is your subconscious, that it runs 24 hours a day, and it's not to be fucked with because it is running you. So you can change it. It's not dumb, but it's hard to change. So you may have to repeat your custom mantra many times. And I have changed my mantra many times over the years when something is done serving me, and okay, what's the next step in my healing journey? What message do I need to hear now? I change it. But you need to just think about this, about any free time that you have. This is going to be a repetitive thing. So there's a lot of different times when we're in idle mode, when you're commuting, when you're in lines, you're waiting. I have taped mantras to the dashboard of my car. I have put them currently what I started doing is putting them on as the lock screen on my phone. So when I unlock my phone, that's the first thing I see. Put it in places that you're going to see. that is going to remind you to do it. I mean, there's been various things that I've tried over the years. Like I have used reminder apps in my phone to set up to bring up different times of the day. I've used just like the basic timer function of my phone, or the calendar to set like alarms just every day to do these operations, and just whatever is going to work for you. I'm throwing things out there. Back in the day, it always used to be tape it in the mirror, tape it on the mirror, tape it on the mirror. But I mean, when you're depressed, you're not spending a whole lot of time in the mirror. So that's maybe like an 80s way of looking at things. When you're spending an hour and a half in front of the mirror every day. A lot of us aren't doing that, right? And so, what ways are you going to be? What are you going to see? What do you look at every day? A book? Put it as a Write it on a 3x5 card and put it as your bookmarker. Most of us, it's your phone. You know, I write a little something on there and save that as my background. Um, Whatever it is, what do you see all the time? What do you need to hear yourself? To what do you need to tell yourself? I am beautiful. I am smart. I am happy. I am calm. I am wise. I am confident. I love me. I am loved. I am enough. I've said all of those to myself all over the years. One that I have very recently used is I am worthy. And you are worthy too. You're worthy of love. You're worthy of praise. You're worthy of attention. You're worthy of acceptance. You are worthy of your place in this reality. And this exercise is what getting yourself to believe that. I love you, and blessed be.